over the weekend, this went from a football story to a drunken media story. It became one of these seismic media rodeos where you can sit there and watch people that you followed for years say things that you know they don't believe, or at best they were saying from some emotional place where they were so unhinged and off the reservation. I mean, I'm hearing things like conspiracy, collusion. What are you talking about? Do you know that video of you saying that to your phone? You know it's going out to the public, right? Aren't you embarrassed? Or are you just that happy to see the engagement being churned out by people clicking on the video of a circus clown screaming conspiracy theories? Do you not think that if one team thought Shedeur Sanders would help them win one more game than the other guy, that they wouldn't immediately draft him? They would. I promise you. These coaches, these GMs are obsessed, desperate, nomadic people who just want to win games and not move their families to another city after they're fired. It has become, this whole thing, one of these media events where the public discourse is so off-putting that it makes fans root against Shedeur just because they're so turned off by the way media members are screaming about him. It's sad and it's stupid. And when something is this far gone, like this story has been onto planet Mars, this far into the ether, this so reckless in the commentary, you got to search for some simple truths, just a few simple footholds, okay? And here's where I come out. No teams loved Shedeur in the draft. Nobody loved him as a player. If anybody loved him, they would have drafted him way earlier. Maybe some liked him, but nobody loved him. And I think that if you were drafting a player, a guy who would not be a starter, later rounds, you're not drafting this quarterback to be a starter, you're bringing him as a backup. I suspect that some teams didn't want the extra things that accompanied Shedeur. They didn't want the attention for a backup quarterback, the media for a backup quarterback, the huge megaphone that backup quarterback's father possesses and is not afraid to use. A starter? Sure, why not? We'll put up with it. But we don't love him as a player, so we're not going to draft him in round after round after round because all the other stuff for a backup, the juice is not worth the squeeze. I don't know if that is a bat bleep insane enough take to keep up with all the front runners talking about Shedeur right now, but that's my only practical reaction to what happened, and I hope that's enough.
Cam, you were once an underrated prospect with no FBS offers out of high school. Now you're the number one pick in this year's NFL draft. What stands out most from your journey to this point?
I just thank God, man. The hard work that I put myself through, and just the unbelievable work ethic that I have. I just always have faith. He's sponsored me. In this moment, my parents, they really pushed me to, get to where I am.
I can hear that emotion in your voice. Where's that coming from?
I would say the little kid in me who wanted it.
Congratulations, Cam.
Thank you.
The juice is just not worth the squeeze. What does everyone think about that take out there and just this crazy turn of events? I don't think anyone saw this happening, man. How could everyone have it so wrong? Shedeur Sanders being rated so highly up there on everyone's mock drafts, only for him to be in backupville as far as where he went in the draft. And then you see a lot of the other takes going on that Shedeur Sanders, who we're going to get to some other things a lot of people had to say about him. But it's just so crazy. The whole Shedeur show, the reality show, Coach Prime and all that. Individuals are feeling overshadowed. Cam Ward's moment. I mean, you see this guy with tears in his eyes. The Titans are already praising him as an organization. This guy is just what you want. Leadership qualities up the wazoo. Pause. You know what I mean? He's not a diva. He's not flossing on everyone with the heavy, gaudy jewels and all that. You know what I mean? It's clear who this is all referenced at, man. I mean, we see who had his moment and really was this moment overshadowed in your opinion? Did the Shedeur show, the reality show, some people, like you heard the first take there in the beginning about how the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, and this went from a big football story to a drunken media story, kind of a joke. And it's just so crazy. I really didn't see this happening, and I really want to know if anyone out there did. But do you think that that's fair to say that that's actual factual, that that's true, that unfortunately overshadowed Cam Ward? You heard him, man. No offers coming out of high school. No one wanted to believe, and he did the unthinkable, man. He turned up, showed everyone his abilities, his character, which is what we're finding out is a huge deal in the NFL. I mean, it's not a secret that when it comes to drafting players, comment, you guys, if you watch the Aaron Hernandez series, you know what I mean, where Hernandez was a guy that was flagged by many teams, and the stuff that they put these players through with the interviews and psychologists damn near being hooked up to a freaking lie detector test. They were like, yo, Hernandez, this guy has a lot of off-field issues, and he's a guy that dropped major in the draft. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't play quarterback, so he's not it's not a glory position the way tight end is. Don't get me wrong, tight ends got that celeb status a little bit and all that, but nothing like a quarterback. This, we know that's just the way it goes. But he was the top rated tight end in the nation. He won that award, and then he dropped in the draft like crazy, and the Patriots took a shot, signed him, got a lot of production out of him. And obviously we know the way that story went. It's kind of similar to what we've seen with Shedeur, that teams just didn't like him. I'm not saying that they think that they have the same issues with him that Hernandez did. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother situation. But clearly teams just were not impressed with him character-wise.
Mike, it was not a shock within the NFL and team buildings when Shedeur Sanders did not go in the first round. I would fairly tell you it is a surprise that he is still on the board at the start of day 3. Philosophically, some teams feel like if you were drafted at the quarterback position specifically, if you think you got a starter, you take him in round 1. If you're drafting somebody to be your backup, you don't want to do that until day 3. I spoke last night with one general manager who is considering taking Shedeur Sanders today. He pointed back all the way to March 2024, and something that Shedeur's father, Dion Sanders, said on a podcast talking about both Shedeur and Travis Hunter, saying that if they are drafted by a team that they don't want to go to, he's going to step in and pull an Eli, meaning force those players to not actually go to that team and try to get them traded. Throughout the pre-draft process, Shedeur Sanders very much proceeded as if he was dictating to clubs where he was going to go, rather than how the draft works, which is the other way around. And there were a bunch of opportunities missed at the various checkpoints through that pre-draft process. Go all the way back to All-Star season. Instead of going to the Senior Bowl, he went to the East-West Shrine Bowl in his backyard in Dallas. Despite an NFL memo saying if you go to these All-Star games, you have to practice, Shedeur chose not to. At the Combine, it is now well documented some of his formal interviews did not go well. One assistant coach told me in all his years, it was the worst formal interview he'd ever been through. People said that Shedeur was trying to dictate how he wanted things to go and made them feel small. Even at the Pro Day, the entire Big 12 had an event in Dallas. Shedeur was there, but did not work out. He had a showcase instead in Colorado, all of which is to say, for a player who had a variety of questions both about the talent level, how he would fit into an NFL system, how he would adjust from his play style in college, but also about the potential culture shock of, for the first time, play for someone who is not his father. There were opportunities that Shedeur Sanders could have taken there. He seemed to feel as if he was in an elite category where he could choose the few teams he wanted to go to. Now some of those very same teams that might be considering taking Shedeur today didn't get those opportunities to answer their question.
What teams want on these visits, and we can debate, whether they should, but what they want is to hear a player that is coachable, that is willing to accept information, that is willing to adapt when they're being asked to adapt. He didn't communicate that on a lot of these visits. Again, we could debate this, but I'm just telling you that that's what these teams got, and that's what Tom is communicating here as well. Okay.
So you hear all that, man. Just think about it. No teams saw that he was worth selecting in the upper echelon of the draft. And it's crazy too with Dion, Coach Prime. Everything about him, his celebrity status, the primetime persona, the gimmick that he came back with all those years ago, and what an amazing athlete he was and is, right? I mean, playing 2 pro sports at the same damn time, coming back and playing for the Ravens later on and still having a pick 6 against my Bills, Drew Bledsoe, right? But being a bona fide starter in the NFL at cornerback, I mean, that's a position, obviously, we know the athletic ability one must possess and the shape that they must be in is something serious, and that was impressive. But he created the whole primetime gimmick and all that to get himself over. Pro wrestling fans, you'll know what I'm saying with the lingo and all that, right? Like, the gimmick worked. He became bigger of a celebrity than an athlete in a sense. You know what I mean? People bought the hype that he was selling, but in the long run, it hurt his legacy with his son in a sense, right? Like, I'm not saying people are saying, hey, that's Dion's son, F him. But like the one dude was pointing out in the beginning of the video that everything that comes back with someone that, you know, a lot of teams are viewing with all those characteristic flaws is not worth the megaphone, the noise, the distraction and everything that comes with his father's celebrity status. So at the end of the day, it hurt his son. I'm not saying he meant to do that or whatever, but that's just the way things worked out. And then the fact that he played for his father, you know, I feel like a lot of teams are like, listen, this guy's a spoiled brat, daddy's boy, pause. And we don't like what we see. He's entitled. He doesn't listen, as you heard about workouts and practicing for certain events and all-star games or whatever. Like, they're like, this guy in the pro day fiasco and everything, like, yo, this dude just, it's not it. We don't like it. And, you know, like, he played for his father. Maybe your dad will let that ish fly, but that ish is not going to fly in the NFL. Now, at the end of the day, being that the Browns took him, out of all teams, in a sense, I guess I would say that's a squad you would want to go to if you definitely want to start, right? Like, tap in and comment and let me know if you guys agree with that or not, because their quarterback situation is so ugly, right? The Browns quarterback situation fell out the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. It's all bad over there, coming off the whole Deshaun Watson situation where they were booing this guy when he got hurt. That's classless, by the way, but it's just how bad it is, and the shape that franchise in is crazy. So, I mean, that's a big plus for Shedeur in a sense, I guess, but I don't know. Shout out to my guy, Jay Millie, who says he sees that Shedeur ain't that good and he's going to flop when he hits the field in the NFL. Will that be sooner rather than later? And then the prank call, oh my goodness, that was ugly. That made Shedeur look like a moron on top of everything else that's happened. It's just like, what a drunken media story, just like they said in the beginning. I think that they put that perfectly, and it really is a shame that overshadowed Cam Ward's story. And you see the whole Warren Moon interaction, the retired #1 jersey. It's like, it's a shame, man. And to think, the old Eli, we're gonna dictate where we go. We're gonna, him and Hunter or whatever, we're gonna dictate where we go, and for things to go this way is just absolutely bonkers. And then what's really shocking to me, I kept thinking that he was gonna be a Raider. And obviously we know Tom Brady's involvement with his minority ownership stake, and, like all the reports and everything that we were seeing of Brady wanting to get heavily involved in the team, only in them to have a rapport where they working together and things to go this way. Obviously, the Raiders weren't smelling what Shedeur was selling either. I gotta say, on top of everything that was touched on in this video, man, this has to be a major blow for Shedeur's confidence and the momentum, and like this glitz and glamour celebrity swagger and lifestyle that he's been living. to have this, like, will it be a big reality check for him where it will motivate him to work his arse off and show everyone that they're wrong and that he can hang in the NFL and that, you know, he is coachable? Or will it only stand to make him continue to be his own worst enemy? Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about it all. Subscribe to the channel. This is just crazy. Let's talk about it. It's Coffee signing out, guys. Peace.